Hey traders, welcome back to another daily profit and loss recap video. Today is Friday, June 9th. I just finished up trading and I took a loss of $122 with my two trades today. One of them was a winning trade and one of them was a slightly larger losing trade. But in this video, I'm going to recap these trades, talk about my thought process, and give some tips on how I like to keep my losses small when it comes to day trading, because at the end of the day, risk management is 100% essential, because even if you're the best trader in the world, you're going to occasionally have to deal with trading losses. So the first stock that I want to talk about was SIEN. SIEN was a big gap up in after hours trading the previous day, and all morning throughout the pre-market session, it was holding its gains really well, trading sideways, consolidating, and because of that, this was for me a potential gap and go at the market open. The key level that I was focusing on was the low of this dip down here, which was at about $2.90. So if we go ahead and zoom into the open here, we can see we have our opening range breakout level, which is the high of this first 5-minute candle, and that's going to be $3.25. So it pulls back from that level. If we take a look at the 1-minute time frame, we can see it has this very quick pullback underneath that level of $2.90 support. But if you notice that the volume during this time frame is relatively weak compared to the volume before and the volume that comes in after, that's often a telltale sign that this is a false breakdown and that the price is going to come back up. And it ends up reclaiming that level of 290 support and starts to push back up towards the VWAP. So I took a starter position in this trade right at about $3 per share, anticipating that this was going to come back up and be able to break through that opening range breakout level and then push back up towards the pre-market highs. So the only reason that I was able to lock in any profits on this trade is because right away when I got into the trade, I placed a limit order to sell and lock in some profits up into this morning high resistance area. Now this order was not to sell 100% of my shares, but by placing an order to sell some of my shares and lock in some of my profits up into that level, I was able to make some money on this trade, even though it very quickly turned against me and ended up selling off to new lows. So that is the first tip to keeping your losses in the market small. Even if this would have turned into a losing trade, it would have been a much smaller losing trade because of the fact that I would have had a smaller position at the time since I sold some of my shares up here and I already had some profits locked in. Okay, so on that trade, I ended up with a profit of $133. The losing trade for me today was with SNOA. If we take a look, this is of course another stock that we see gapping up in the extended hours session. And if I go ahead and just draw a trend line here, we can see that there is a pretty clear trend to the upside going on all throughout this morning session here. We get higher lows, higher highs, bouncing off of this level of trendline support up until very recently when it started to break down. So I was seeing this in the morning, and once we got that initial pullback at the market open, it starts to pull back under VWAP and it immediately comes straight back above VWAP. I took a starter position up here in the 140s. And as you can see, it kind of went against me very quickly. But one thing that I want to mention is that I wasn't blindly adding into this position and adding into this trade that was currently at a loss. I was adding in at this level of trendline support. So I started to buy some more shares in the low 130s. I got my average price on the trade down to about 139, I believe. And you can see the same lesson applies to this trade that we just talked about with SIEN. I should have had an order placed up here to lock in some profits up into this opening range breakout level, because that ended up becoming an area of resistance and I missed out on locking in profits up in that area. It ended up coming straight back down and I had to sell at a loss once it started to break down underneath that level of trendline support. So because of that, if I would have had that order placed up there, this could have very easily been a small winning trade for me today as well, and I could have walked away for the day with a few $100s in profits, which is nothing crazy, but after this trade was a $256 loss, I ended up in the red for the day with a loss of $122. Seeing as how a pretty average profitable day for me is about $1,000, $122 on a red losing day is no big deal. And again, the reason that I'm able to keep these losses small is because I'm usually locking in quick profits into these spikes, and I'm only adding when the stock is kind of following what my initial plans were. In this case, it happened to be holding that level of trendline support, so I started to add into my position. If it would have been able to break out above this opening range breakout level, I would have added into my position. But you'll notice what I'm not doing is adding into a losing trade once it's starting to break down and once there's really no signs of that trade moving in my favor at that point. I wasn't adding into this pullback under trendline support. I wasn't trying to average down lower and lower and lower, because that's how you end up taking big losses with your trading. And that is essentially the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do when it comes to managing your risk. Okay, so very quickly, I know that the focus of these trades and the focus of this channel here on YouTube is my day trades, but I also have a separate account where I do some swing trading, and we also do post swing trading alerts in the Market Master group. And lately we've had a couple really solid swings that I just want to briefly cover. The first of those was with the stock BMEA. BMEA was posted at a price of $31.90. This was a few weeks ago as it was trading in this price channel with some upward daily momentum as it was approaching this breakout level. If we take a look at the chart today, we can see that it's up over $10 per share from that swing trade alert. It was able to break out above that level of trendline resistance, and it's starting to move up very nicely with volume picking up a little bit as well. Another swing trade that we had recently was with the stock IMGN. This had a big gap and go with their earnings report being released about a month ago, and we were seeing that it was holding gains really nicely from that gap and go, consolidating up near the highs, and because of that, it was posted for a potential short-term swing from the $13.70 area. If we take a look at the daily chart today, we can see it's up to about $17 per share today. So this ended up being another really solid swing trade candidate here. And just a few days ago, we also had TSLL. TSLL is the 1.5 times leveraged ETF for Tesla. So in other words, if Tesla goes up 1%, TSLL is going to go up 1.5%. And obviously the same thing is true to the downside, so it is a little bit of a riskier trade, but since Tesla had so much upward momentum, and it was starting to show some relative strength when compared to SPY or the general market, this was posted for a potential swing trade from $13.19. The initial profit target on this was just $15, but as we can see, it's already exceeded that price target. It's trading up at $16 right now and hit a high this morning of $16.65. So a couple really solid swing trades from the group lately. I'm going to be running some scans and posting some more later this afternoon or over this weekend for the following week. So if you're interested in trading some swing trades as well, and you want to come join us in the Market Master group, there's going to be a link down below in the description for you to come join us and try it out for yourself. Anyway, I hope you all had a profitable week and you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel so that way you don't miss out on all of the profit and loss recap videos that are going to be posted next week. Anyway, thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and good luck with your trading.